Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. I am using some custom stencils that I cut using my Silhouette Cameo, and I have a separate video that describes and shows how to actually make the stencils themselves, how you set it up and all that good stuff. But here are the cards that I made with it. If you would like to purchase the medallions that I'm using to make this, I will link to a video and also the product over in my shop so that you can purchase those, and they will be on sale for 99¢ from July 1st until the 12th, which is about the first 2 weeks of July there. So they'll be 99¢ over in the shop for that. So what I did was I took the second layer of my round medallion image and I inlaid it into a square and I cut it out so that I could create a stencil. So I only had like the design part of it. I didn't have the outline of that second layer. I just had the design part of it. And I put this in a 6x6 and I cut it out, and this is stencil material, and I will link to several places that you can purchase stencil material. And this is about 4 mil, I believe. This is the stencil material that I'm using is actually Silhouette Studio stencil material, or Silhouette America, excuse me, stencil material, and it cuts absolutely fine. The settings that you need to use, I mentioned this over on my blog post as well, but I'll mention it here. I mentioned it in the video for how to do this. The only change that you'll need to make is, I'm a big proponent of when you're cutting your paper that you use the overcut feature as well as you cut twice. I recommend that you do that with these as well. That way your corners are precise and absolutely gorgeous, and you don't worry about like tearing, ripping, or wrinkling your stencil material. This does not require a special blade. However, I don't recommend using the same blade that you cut paper with. Paper and fabrics and that kind of thing dull blades very differently than plastics do. I am using my old ratchet blade for this because it cuts very easily. I am not using my new blade that is in the metal housing. I'm not using that one. So this is also another layer of that medallion, and I'm doing this backwards because I wanted the cardstock to really show. I didn't want the pattern necessarily to be the stencil. I didn't invert this image. I actually am using the actual what I would cut out. You can do it either way. You could actually fill this in and make this cut very differently by playing with your settings and playing with how this actually cuts out in Silhouette Design Studio, because all the layers are separate on the medallions. You can also design your own. In the video that I'm demonstrating how to make the stencil, how you want to put it together and think about it, I am actually making a striped stencil, and that's going to be my next project for myself, because I don't have one, and every time I've gone to buy one and think about it, they're sold out. So I'm going to make a striped stencil for myself in a couple of different ways so that I will be able to make like buffalo plaids with stripes, etc. So I made a couple different backgrounds using the stencils here, and I'm layering wilted violet and peacock feathers in different ways on this stencil, and I also did it on black cardstock and white cardstock so that you could see the difference in it, especially with the Distress Oxide inks, because they show up on black cardstock so well. And I really liked that teal one, and I kept the cards really super simple because I really wanted the backgrounds to shine on this. If you need quick cards for somebody, especially right now, maybe you have a nurse in your family or a doctor or a first responder that is just overwhelmed with everything that's going on, these are really simple, easy cards to put together and put really great, nice sentiments on them, and you don't have to have anything special, and they're still like super wow for them. And these would mail very easily, and ta-da, you have perfect cards there. So I decided also with this one that I was going to put the Distress Oxide in the peacock feathers over top of this, because that actually makes a really pretty weird purpley blue color. Okay, the other thing that you can do with this is you could do the second layer in a stencil and then cut out of paper that top layer there and actually use that over top of that stenciled background. Absolutely gorgeous. That would be amazing as well. Lots of different ways that you could utilize this in together in different ways. So you can make a stencil of that second layer, cut out that top layer, and you have a whole different look there. Lots of different options with this, and that's one thing that I really like about the option of being able to make my own stencils. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely gorgeous. And this is kind of a reverse stencil just because of what I'm using to make the stencils, the images that I'm using. So there's my 3 finished backgrounds. I did the peacock feather one that is like the really dark and then a little bit lighter in the white. I did that one before when I was playing, so it turned out great, so I went ahead and kept it. The sentiments I'm using are from Pink Fresh Studios. It is a Hello and a You stamp set. It's a 6x8 stamp set, and it's got a lot of really great, amazing sentiments on it. And for this one, I'm just directly adhered the sentiment down to the card. I'm going to pop up the other 2, and I'm going to actually make the sentiment strip on the purple and teal one. I'm going to cut that at an angle, and that's going to be about it. So I'm going to link to, here in just a second, I'll put that up in the corner. I will link to the how to do actual Silhouette Design Studio, how to make the stencil. I wanted you to see what you could do with it first, because sometimes when you're like, oh, I really don't want to do that, because you don't know what you can do with it. So I give you some ideas over on the blog as well. Other than what we've already talked about, I have some other ideas and one special surprise idea for you. And I hope you take a look at that. And I really think this is a great option and have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to put together the rest of the cards, play a little bit of music, stick that thing up in the corner so that you can link to it, the video link there, not the thing, but the video link. And I'll have lots of products linked down below for you that will make this so much fun. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk later.